Dumplings are so good. Hi guys, it's Hannah. Hope you're all doing well and having a great start to your holiday season. Today I'd love to show you how to make one of my favorite dumplings. Who doesn't love dumplings? It uses the leftovers from your Thanksgiving feast, and I'm going to do it in a Japanese gyoza style, which just means it's going to be pan fried and steamed and served up with a fun skirt. I just also want to say this is like open to whatever leftovers you have in the fridge. So let's get started. So today I'll be using dark meat turkey, chopped Brussels sprouts, mashed potatoes, leftover gravy. But use whatever you have left over. If you have some like mushroom stuffing, that would be so nice, or sweet potato mash or casserole. Just use whatever you have on hand, just keeping in mind the rough proportion of meat and vegetable in the dish. So, okay, let's make the mix. So first, the leftover turkey, dark meat, just Brussels sprouts. Really, just think about your favorite dumpling. Inside, it's usually a meat and some type of cabbage. The mashed potatoes really help too, not only to bind, but it's usually made with enough fat, good fat like butter, to really add richness to the dumpling filling. Adding a little bit of gravy too. If you just have some gelatinized meat juices hanging out under your leftover turkey, that works great as well. And this will just add some moisture to the entire mix. And then I'm going to add some of the more Asian aromatics that really will help it taste like a dumpling. So we have some chopped scallion, garlic, grated ginger, soy sauce, toasted sesame oil, salt and pepper to taste. And again, the seasoning will all depend on how well you've seasoned each of your individual Thanksgiving components. The good thing is everything is already cooked, so after we mix it up, you can have a taste. You don't have to cook it and then taste it, and then adjust to your likes. I mean, honestly, I love Thanksgiving leftovers on their own or in a sandwich, but usually the day after Thanksgiving, I'm craving Asian food. So this is actually something that we started after my daughter was born. And sometimes if we have mushrooms in our stuffing, it tastes really good. You can also add in your own mushrooms, just, chopped up from raw, or, rehydrated shiitake or wood ear mushrooms. Those are all really good as well, lend a really nice earthiness. So you just want to make sure it's a nice homogenized mix so that you have a little bit of everything in each bite. Great. Perfect. So the mix is made and it's homogenized. We're going to clean up a little bit and start plating the dumplings. Here's what you'll need for the dumpling wrapping station. A small sheet pan or tray, just dusted with some cornstarch, and we have a little mound of extra cornstarch right here. I'll talk about that in a second. We'll have the gyoza wrappers, which any dumpling wrapper will do, Chinese, Japanese, or Korean. I tend to use the Japanese or the Korean style ones because they tend to be a little bit thinner and good for gyozas. Then we obviously have our mix. We have our little spoon that we'll use to put the mixture into the dumpling wrappers, a little bowl to wet your finger so we can use that as glue for sealing them shut. And you'll want a wet paper towel. After we cut these open, we're going to protect them and keep them covered. And we'll have another wet towel to cover the formed dumplings. Every dumpling package has a different number of wrappers. It can be anywhere from like 40 to 50. So this amount of dumpling mix should be enough with maybe a little bit left over. So first, you get your dumpling wrapper, just dip a finger, go around the perimeter, and I measured out the amount. It's going to be close to 2 teaspoons or so. You don't have to be so precise, basically about this much. And the easiest way to do it is really seal the top, and then you're going to make about 2 or 3 pleats on each side. You want it to be generous, but not overflowing that it will break the seams. And give everything kind of a pinch along the top. And then what we do, remember that little mound of cornstarch I was telling you about? We're just going to give it a pat that just ensures that it won't stick. And then kind of just make a little seat. And what we'll do later is make the frying a little easier. So if you're folding these by yourself, like I am, it might take a minute, but if you have your friends or like aunties and they're gossiping, it will be done in like 15 minutes or less. But if you want them done in kind of a timely manner, you might just need to help them a little bit. Yeah. My daughter Lana does like to help me make dumplings as well. She's still learning how to pleat, so what she does is just, seal it shut all the way, which is fine as long as it's a tight seal. That's all that matters, and that way she knows which dumplings are hers at the end. Really, like I said, if you have like leftover green bean casserole or even some like cranberry sauce, I bet that would be so nice in here too. Whatever you have. If you want to freeze these dumplings, I would fold them all up, put them on a flat tray just like this, stick them in your freezer, and after they've hardened, you can put them in a zip top bag. So we're almost done making our little cutie dumplings, and then we're going to make a nice dipping sauce. It's a soy vinegar based dipping sauce with some scallion and sesame oil and a little bit of layu, which is Japanese style chili oil. If you have kids at home or people who are not so much into spice, leave it out or scale it back. You do you. So we're going to make the dipping sauce. It's literally as easy as putting these ingredients into a small bowl or a ramekin. And as I mentioned before, just adjust it to your taste. I like nearly equal parts soy sauce to vinegar. Some people like it less tangy. We're using rice vinegar today, but you can use an apple cider vinegar for a touch more sweetness. I'm using a Japanese chili oil called layu today, but you can use, again, any chili oil that you like. And if you have kids who are a little more spice sensitive, just keep it out or scale it back. So the dumplings are folded, the dipping sauce is made, and now we're going to work on the slurry and get to cooking the dumplings. So we're going to make the slurry mix next. It's just 2 ingredients, cornstarch and water. Sometimes you'll see AP flour being used. That's totally fine, and sometimes you'll even see a little bit of vinegar being used for taste, but I'm keeping it really simple. I like to put the cornstarch in first and then add the water just a little bit at a time just to prevent any lumps. So just gonna give this an initial mix. I mean, this goes for all kind of batters from slurry to like pancake batters. Just want to get all the corners. And then we'll be mixing as we go as well because cornstarch likes to settle at the bottom. Then we're going to start on the cooking of the dumplings. Now with the gyoza, we're going to think about it in kind of 3 steps where we are first just frying the bottoms until they get a nice golden crust. Then we're going to add the slurry and the liquid will help steam the dumplings. We're gonna keep a lid on it. And then the third part will be to remove the lid and then just finish off the nice skirt. Let's get to a medium-high heat to start off. You're gonna add a little bit of neutral oil just to coat the bottom of the pan. It's about a teaspoon and a half or so. I'm using an 8-inch pan, which means it's 8 inches across, but the actual cooking surface is just 6 inches. Make sure all of your dumplings are sealed well. So we're gonna hang out. We'll wait until they get a nice golden bottom. It'll take about 2 to 3 minutes. Every subsequent batch will take shorter time. So these have been frying for a few minutes and we're just going to see, you just want a light golden brown before we add the slurry. And that's looking good to me. So just make sure they're back in the pattern that you want because they'll kind of stay there after we add the slurry. And you just want enough to go in and around the dumplings. It's gonna be about 2 or 2.5 tablespoons of the mixture. Don't want too much. Then knock the heat back to a medium Put a lid on it, 4 or 5 minutes. Put a tight fitting lid on right away. Knock back the heat to medium. It won't need that much time because everything's already cooked. Looks good. Okay, so these are looking great. All the skins are translucent, which means that the dough itself is cooked. We're going to add just a smidge of sesame oil, and that acts as both a flavoring agent as well as a nice little helper to get the dumplings off the pan. Just a little bit around the edges. Look at them, they're like about to burst with juiciness. So I'm just waiting for all of the excess water to evaporate and for the starch on the bottom to get a little bit more golden, and then we'll flip it out onto a plate. So you want to grab a plate that is slightly bigger in diameter than your pan. Another reason why you want to start with a small pan. Carefully place it over, and then all right, our Thanksgiving leftover dumplings are ready to eat. I'm gonna give one a quick taste. Nice and hot, straight from the pan. Use your hands. You can just use chopsticks to kind of break apart the skirt. Dumplings are so good. We worked hard to create that nice crispy crust here, and the insides are nice and soft and juicy. Tasting vaguely like Thanksgiving, but again, with the Asian aromatics that we put in, like ginger, garlic, scallions, soy sauce, and sesame oil, they all of a sudden taste like something new. You can find this recipe on Food52. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next month with a new recipe.